has achieved greater success than anyone could have dreamed of, and it's still expanding. Here are some heroes that we would like to see in the next team lineup. 10. Squirrel Girl. The all-powerful Squirrel Girl would wipe the floor with most MCU villains, and maybe that's why she hasn't made an appearance yet. She can talk to squirrels, of course, and is kind of like Spider-Man, but instead of spider abilities scaled to human size, it's squirrel abilities. Squirrel Girl is unbeatable, and that's comics and meme canon. While she might not look like much, she has technically defeated the likes of Kraven the Hunter and Galactus, so remember that when you're watching Fantastic Four in theaters in a couple weeks. 9. Moon Knight. MIA, Moon Knight, truly, like, where did Moon Knight go? Marvel dropped one of its best projects with a cliffhanger and then proceeded to do absolutely nothing else with him. Technically, he is part of the MCU, but he hasn't appeared anywhere but his TV show, which is a huge missed opportunity. Not only does Oscar Isaac embody the hero flawlessly, but his powers are fascinating and could be a major help to Earth's mightiest heroes. At least give us a season 2. 8. Blade. Is Blade joining the MCU? It seems even Marvel doesn't know that answer. The popular half-vampire vampire hunter was originally announced to be joining the MCU in 2019, almost 6 years ago. Mahershala Ali was cast as the hero, and he said that he's ready to go, so now the ball's in Marvel's court. Will Blade make his MCU debut, or is the project going to stay in purgatory? 7. Sleepwalker. If you know me, you're not surprised by this one at all. He might look scary, but this guy is 100% hero and deserves a spot in the MCU canon. Sleepwalker is an obscure Marvel hero from the 90s that never really took off despite his vast power and interesting background. Sleepwalker accidentally bonded to Rick Sheridan and could only come out when he sleeps. After human Rick panicked and stayed up for days because he did suddenly have an alien attached to him, the pair learned to work together and became the hero of their neighborhood and the universe at large. 6. Phantom X. Phantom X is the mutant man of mystery and could be the MCU's next big thing. He's a hilarious half-human, half-cyborg, but not the traditional way. His mom actually conceived him with a robot, and I would explain further, but no spoilers for the eventual movie. He also loves French culture and adopted a French accent that is audibly fake purely because he knows it annoys people. Box office success, I can feel it. 5. Alpha Flight. It's time to expand the MCU up to the north. Let's get some Canada in there. Alpha Flight is just the way to do that. Canada's official team of heroic protectors is full of interesting characters to develop. I mean, there's the twins, North Star and Aurora, separated at birth. The movie could be part like family drama, part exciting adventure, especially because North Star is an Olympic athlete turned superhero. Success is written all over this one. 4. Nova. Marvel is teasing the debut of one of their most underrated powerhouses ever, Nova. Nova is part of the Nova Corps, an organization already introduced in the Guardians of the Galaxy's movies, and there were rumors that Marvel was seriously eyeing the character. Nova's story of zero to hero has captured readers for decades, and I'm confident that it will also charm moviegoers if given the chance and budget. 3. Ghost Rider. It's time for Ghost Rider to make his MCU debut, especially after the Mephisto reveal in Marvel's Ironheart. Johnny Blaze becomes Ghost Rider after making a deal with Mephisto in the comics, and now that Sacha Baron Cohen has taken on that role, let's get Johnny in here! The character is wild and exciting and perfect for an MCU project. 2. Rawhide Kid. It's time to bring back a good old western flick, and maybe the MCU could help. Marvel has dozens of cowboys, but none quite like the adventurous, charismatic, and daring Rawhide Kid. Not confined to the days of the American frontier, Rawhide has jumped across time and has often brought modern heroes to his era too. The hero could redefine the MCU as we know it, and everybody loves a cowboy. And 1. Miles Morales. Miles Morales needs to join the MCU, and he actually might very soon. His uncle Aaron Davis already made an appearance in the first Spider-Man film, and now with all the Fantastic Four multiverse stuff, Miles might be less dream and more reality. Miles was introduced in the comics Secret Wars storyline, so could Marvel be planning to do the same in Avengers 6?
Spider-Man has been one of Marvel's coolest and most beloved characters since his creation. He's one of my favorites personally, and Sam Raimi's Spider-Man trilogy elevated him to an even more significant part of pop culture, with many superhero fans considering it to be one of the best movie trilogies. The third one's a little iffy, but the first two, nail it. Willem Dafoe, so good. The hero, played by Tobey Maguire, enjoyed 2 critically acclaimed audience-adored films, followed by a 3rd installment that, well, like I said, despite performing well at the box office, didn't quite hit the mark. Sam Raimi was unhappy with how Spider-Man 3 turned out, rightfully so he aimed to make the 4th film the best one yet. Doesn't that sound promising? Now, unfortunately, the script never came together, and Sony decided to reboot the franchise with Andrew Garfield, leaving fans to wonder what could have been. As Marvel's first superhero team, the Fantastic Four holds significant historical value. They're pretty old. However, Fox's attempts at a live-action adaptation, they were a bit disappointing. The efforts culminated in the failure of Fantastic Four: Rise of the Silver Surfer, which was poorly received by critics and audiences alike, and it struggled to make double its budget at the box office. Before the sequel's release, Fox had already been planning a solo spin-off for the Silver Surfer, one of Marvel's most important and beloved characters. However, when the studio deemed that the Rise of the Silver Surfer had not achieved sufficient box office success, future plans for the franchise, including the proposed spin-off, were immediately scrapped. Though fans had been eagerly anticipating a movie based on one of Marvel's biggest properties, given the disappointing outcomes of the previous 2 movies, I mean, fair, it might have been for the best. In 2021, fans were treated to Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings, a delightfully fun martial arts movie that stands out as one of the MCU's most unique and rewatchable films. That bus fight scene, that's incredible. I want to do that on the TTC every day, but I can't, because I'm not Shang-Chi. What many fans don't know is that Kevin Feige, president of Marvel Studios, he has admitted that Marvel wanted to make a Shang-Chi film for years. They just didn't know how or when. Back in 2001, Stephen Norrington was set to direct an adaptation of the character, and the project died and was revived several times over the years, but Marvel always struggled to secure funding, believe it or not. As a result, The Hands of Shang-Chi, Master of Kung Fu never got made. What an amazing title too. A bit wordy, but you would have had us. This changed when fans finally got to see Simu Liu's fantastic take on the hero, making the long wait worth it. Black Cat and Silver Sable. They may not be the most prominent figures in the Marvel Universe, but for fans of Spider-Man's rogues and allies, they're 2 of the most iconic characters in the Wall Crawlers mythos. Black Cat is an anti-hero with complex romantic history with Spider-Man, while Silver Sable, she's a bounty hunter who has frequently crossed paths with the friendly neighborhood superhero. Would have been for a great love triangle, crime triangle, whatever you want to call it. Although the pair hadn't teamed up in the comics before, a film featuring them as leads was announced in the late 2010s. Alongside the first Venom movie with Tom Hardy, which was made. Now they're on the 3rd movie. Gina Prince Bythewood was set to direct, however, as numerous obstacles arose, the movie was eventually cancelled, with Sony planning to create solo movies for each character instead. Now, unfortunately, these projects never materialized either, so fans of Black Cat and or Silver Sable will have to wait a little longer to see these characters on the big screen, or any screen for that matter. Despite being set in the MCU, arguably the most popular movie franchise of modern times, most fans may not have seen or even remember ABC's Inhumans. It was a TV show so unsuccessful that it was cancelled after just 1 season. We have like 4 seasons of Daredevil. What happened? Well, based on one of Marvel's most beloved teams, the series is perhaps the weakest of all Marvel shows on Disney+. Originally, Inhumans was supposed to be a movie, believe it or not, which fans agree would have been a much better way to introduce these characters into the franchise. However, Marvel eventually decided it would be less risky to produce a television series instead, resulting in, well, this. Fans knew something exciting was in the works when The Amazing Spider-Man 2 rolled the credits, alright? The credits hinted at the prospect of the Sinister Six, which is a team-up of Spider-Man's mightiest foes entering the franchise. This would have been amazing. I was really pumped for this. Even though the film itself wasn't particularly well received at the time, of course, No Way Home helped clean that wound, the idea of the big screen portrayal of Spider-Man's most infamous villain team, that was thrilling. That had tickets already in my mind. But Sony had big plans for their interconnected universe, including a Sinister Six movie directed by Drew Goddard. However, with the disappointing performance of Andrew Garfield's second outing as Spider-Man and the studio's strategy shift, the movie never took off. As Sony's Spider-Man universe continues to evolve, there might still be hope for a Sinister Six adaptation. However, with the performance of movies like Madam Web and Morbius and all those great movies, fans are still having second thoughts about whether they even want this movie or not. Is it worth the risk? Comment down below. I vote nay. Fox's X-Men from the year 2000 pretty much ignited the flame that became the superhero movie genre in the 21st century. They were the OG. Hugh Jackman was like 21, you know what I mean? The rest of the franchise had its ups and downs, sure, but one of its lowest came in the form of X-Men Origins Wolverine, which some would call one of the worst spin-off movies ever made. I mean, yeah, it's definitely close. It's kind of close. The X-Men Origins concept was planned to be expanded beyond Wolverine's film. The franchise's main antagonist, Magneto, well, he was planned to have a solo prequel explaining how he became Ian McKellen's iconic villain. But due to poor reception of Wolverine, the movie never came to be. They were obviously too afraid to try anything else. Nevertheless, audiences did end up getting a younger version of the character with Michael Fassbender wearing the helmet, and the result was quite extraordinary. From the relatively long Marvel canceled movie lists, this one at least has a happy-ish ending. Although the Amazing Spider-Man movies with Andrew Garfield were never as successful as the trilogy that preceded them, they still have a devoted fan base. It's right here. I'm Team Garfield all the way. As appreciation for Garfield's portrayal continued to grow, the canceled Amazing Spider-Man 3 became an increasingly tragic figure among Marvel's canceled projects. Poor Garfield, he got screwed with this, really. The first installment performed relatively well at the box office, but the second one, that's when things got a little hairy. The second one received a mixed reception from audiences and critics and failed to meet Sony's financial expectations. Yet somehow they're on the third Venom movie. I don't know how that works. These issues led executives to cancel the planned third film, remove Garfield from the role, and approach Marvel for the MCU plans that audiences now know and love. And we got to see a bit more of Garfield too, so that's a little bit of healing. Not enough, but a little bit of healing. Logan, one of the best genre-bending superhero movies of all time and arguably James Mangold's finest film, took the world by storm. R-rated Wolverine movie? Finally, this is what we want. It provided a riveting and emotional farewell to Hugh Jackman's legendary portrayal of Wolverine. Now in the movie, Daphne Keane played X-23, a girl created from Logan's DNA, who accompanied him on this final journey. Now Keane's portrayal of X-23 was surprisingly amazing and endearing. It was her first movie ever and she knocked it out of the park, leading fans to clamor for more of her character. And that's exactly what was planned. A spin-off film about X-23 was reportedly being considered, but it's widely believed that the Disney-Fox deal killed the project. That makes sense. Now we have Deadpool and Wolverine with Daphne Keane. Given that years have passed with no news about it, it seems likely that this unfortunate circumstance led to this Marvel movie's cancellation. But now we have Deadpool and Wolverine, where we know Daphne Keane is back as X-23, Hugh Jackman's back as Wolverine, and now we got Ryan Reynolds to talk shit the entire time. What more could you want, right? Talk about a happy ending.
And at number 10 is Deathlock. This cyborg soldier has seen the worst humanity has to offer. Once a soldier named Luther Manning, he was caught in the crossfire of a conflict that nearly destroyed him. He awoke in a dystopian future, his body rebuilt as a weapon of war. But despite the horrors he's endured and the programming that compels him to kill, Deathlock clings to the remnants of his humanity. He fights to control his destiny, battling his inner demons and striving to use his powers for good. Deathlock is a walking arsenal thanks to the cybernetic enhancements that give him the strength to tear through steel, the speed to outrun a speeding bullet, and the durability to shrug off explosions. He can also tap into any computer system, giving him an unparalleled edge in a world increasingly reliant on technology. With his combat skills, his knowledge of weaponry, and his tragic backstory, Deathlock could bring a new dimension to the MCU. Imagine him wrestling with the morality of his existence while fighting alongside the Avengers or the Guardians of the Galaxy. At number 9, we have the unbeatable Squirrel Girl. Don't let the name fool you. This superhero is more than just a bushy-tailed brawler. Doreen Green might look adorable, but she possesses the proportional speed and strength of a squirrel, which makes her surprisingly strong and agile. She can also talk to squirrels, an ability that has saved the day more times than you might imagine. But Squirrel Girl's true superpower is her ability to connect with others. She faces every challenge with unwavering optimism and an unshakable belief in the good in everyone, even her enemies. She's taken down some of the Marvel Universe's most formidable foes, including Thanos and Doctor Doom, not through brute force, but through empathy and understanding. She even convinced Galactus to spare Earth by offering him a planet made entirely of Utz. In a world where heroes often resort to violence, Squirrel Girl's unique approach to conflict resolution could be a game changer for the MCU. Coming in at number 8 is the enigmatic Sleepwalker. This alien superhero patrols the Mindscape, a dimension that links the minds of all living beings. While pursuing his archenemy, Cobweb, he became trapped in the mind of a college student named Rick Sheridan. Now, he emerges from Rick's mind while he sleeps, battling the nightmares that plague humanity. Sleepwalker is a force to be reckoned with, possessing superhuman strength, speed, and durability. He can also fly, teleport, and manipulate the shape of objects with his warp gadget. But his most impressive ability is his power to amplify the mental powers of other psychics. Imagine him joining forces with Professor X, Jean Grey, or Scarlet Witch to create a psychic force unlike anything the MCU has ever seen. At number 7, we have the freedom-fighting free spirit. Kathy Webster is more than just a skilled athlete and martial artist. She's a woman of action, driven by a fierce, independent spirit and an unwavering commitment to justice. After being chosen by the Grandmaster to compete in a multiversal game, she was inspired to use her enhanced abilities to fight for those who cannot fight for themselves. Free Spirit's powers might seem simple at first glance, but her enhanced strength, speed, and agility, coupled with her ability to defy gravity, make her a formidable opponent. She's also a brilliant strategist and a natural leader, capable of inspiring others to fight for what's right. Free Spirit's unwavering dedication to her ideals and her refusal to back down from a challenge would make her a perfect fit for the MCU. Coming in at number 6 is the magnetic mistress, Polaris. The daughter of Magneto, Lorna Dane inherited her father's ability to control magnetism. But unlike her father, she's chosen to use her powers to protect the innocent and fight for a better world. Polaris is a walking electromagnetic phenomenon. She can manipulate magnetic fields to fly, create force fields, and control metal objects with the flick of her wrist. She can even control the iron in people's blood, a power that gives her a unique and potentially deadly edge in combat. But Polaris' story is more than just her powers. She's a complex character who has struggled with mental health issues and the weight of her family legacy. Her internal battles and her unwavering determination to forge her own path make her a compelling and relatable hero. At number 5, we have the noble warrior, Beta Ray Bill. This alien hero proved himself worthy of wielding Thor's hammer, Mjolnir, granting him powers similar to the god of thunder. But Beta Ray Bill is more than just a Thor clone. He's a noble and honorable warrior with a strong sense of duty and a tragic past. Beta Ray Bill's people, the Corbinites, were facing annihilation. To save them, he underwent a radical transformation, sacrificing his own body to become a cyborg warrior. Now, he travels the cosmos in his sentient warship, Scuttlebutt, protecting the innocent and battling the forces of evil. With his unique design, his impressive powers, and his compelling backstory, Beta Ray Bill could bring a visually stunning and emotionally resonant presence to the MCU. Coming in at number 4 is the powerful psychic, Moondragon. Heather Douglas is one of the most formidable telepaths on Earth. She can control the minds of others, manipulate matter with her thoughts, and even fly. But her journey has been fraught with challenges and inner turmoil. Moondragon's powers are truly formidable, but she's also a complex character with a troubled past. She's walked a fine line between heroism and villainy, struggling to control her immense abilities and overcome her arrogance. With her indomitable will and her unwavering determination, Moondragon could be a fascinating and unpredictable addition to the MCU. At number 3, we have the Cosmic Crusader, Quasar. Wendell Vaughn is a former TIELD agent who wields the quantum bands, ancient alien artifacts that grant him mastery over energy. He's a skilled fighter, a brilliant strategist, and a dedicated protector of the universe. Quasar's powers are truly cosmic in scope. He can fly, teleport, create energy constructs, and even manipulate matter. He can even create apertures into the quantum zone, a dimension of infinite energy, allowing him to travel vast distances in the blink of an eye. With his incredible abilities and his unwavering commitment to justice, Quasar could be a key player in the MCU's cosmic adventures. Coming in at number 2 is the one-of-a-kind Machine Man X-51, also known as Aaron Stack, is a robot with a human heart. He longs to understand what it means to be human, to experience emotions and connect with others. Machine Man is incredibly strong, durable, and fest with a variety of built-in weapons and gadgets at his disposal. But his true strength lies in his unique perspective and his unwavering determination to find his place in the world. With his blend of action and introspection, Machine Man could bring a thought-provoking and action-packed presence to the MCU. And finally, at number 1, it's the soaring superhero, American Eagle. Jason Strongbow is a Native American hero with a deep connection to his heritage. He's a symbol of strength, courage, and resilience, dedicated to protecting his people and his land. American Eagle's powers are rooted in his Native American heritage. He possesses superhuman strength, speed, and agility, making him a formidable warrior. He's also a skilled archer, capable of hitting targets with pinpoint accuracy. But American Eagle's greatest strength is his unwavering commitment to his values and his people. He could bring a new dimension to the MCU's exploration of diversity and representation, showcasing the rich history and traditions of Native American culture. So there you have it, the top 10 forgotten Marvel superheroes who could save the MCU. These are characters with the power, the personality, and the backstory to make a real impact on the big screen. Hopefully, Marvel Studios will take notice and give these heroes the chance they deserve. What do you think? Which of these forgotten heroes would you like to see in the MCU? Let us know in the comments below, and don't forget to like and subscribe for more awesome Marvel content. The Marvel Cinematic Universe has introduced us to a vast array of heroes, but there are still countless others waiting to be discovered. These forgotten heroes offer a chance for the MCU to explore new themes, diversify its cast of characters, and address some of the criticisms it has faced in recent years. Imagine Deathlock grappling with the ethics of artificial intelligence in a world where technology is rapidly advancing. Picture Squirrel Girl reminding us of the power of empathy and understanding in a universe often defined by conflict. Envision American Eagle bringing the rich history and traditions of Native American culture to the forefront of the MCU. These characters could appear in a variety of upcoming projects. Perhaps Deathlock could join the Thunderbolts, a team of reformed villains and anti-heroes. Maybe Squirrel Girl could make a surprise appearance in the next Spider-Man movie. Or perhaps American Eagle could team up with Echo, another Native American hero, in her upcoming Disney Plus series.
Number 10, X-Man. It's not a deadly superhero list without at least one Gray or Summers offspring making the cut. And X-Man is both. Genetically speaking, at least. X-Man is Nate Gray, who hails from the Age of Apocalypse reality of Earth 295. He is known as X-Man and is also sometimes referred to as Mutant Jesus. So I think you can imagine what we're working with here. Nate Gray was created by the Mr. Sinister of his reality using the genes of both Jean Grey and Scott Summers. He represents the greatest potential in terms of power for their offspring. But despite being created by Sinister using Grey and Summer genes, he was actually raised by AOA's Forge. Nate Gray is a reality warper and a mighty one at that. Reality warpers, especially stable ones like Nate, would be extremely dangerous to have in the MCU because they would be limitless in terms of what they could do. Especially Nate Gray, he is very much limitless. And friends, before we move on to our next spot on this list, if you love what we do here at Top 10 Nerd and you love when we talk about comics, be sure to let us know you love us by subscribing. And that way you don't miss out on any of our awesome content. Yay! It's a win-win. Number 9, Amass. Amass is one of my favorite new mutants that I've met in the last little while. They appear in the current Marauders run that started this year in 2022 and is written by Steve Orlando. Amass was created by Orlando and Eleonora Carlini. This mutant is wild. We don't know that much about them yet, but what we do know is that they can basically combine mutant powers and mutants together. Hence their name of Amass, because they amass things. They hail from a hidden ancient civilization of mutants known as the Threshold that existed eons ago and which we are only now learning about in the comics. And this was actually said to be like the first ever mutants to have existed. As of Marauders issue number 9, we do not know this mutant's limitations yet when it comes to their powers, and so I could definitely see them being a character who could easily break the Marvel Cinematic Universe. If they are as powerful as I suspect they are, and I suspect they're probably pretty powerful. Number 8, Ex Nihilo. If we get Ex Nihilo in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, it will probably mean the coming of the Builders, which would be a whole world-destroying event. Worlds-destroying, actually, since they basically obliterated multiple planets in order to reset the universe and start again because of what they had learned about the coming incursions. Ex Nihilo was known as one of the gardeners. He was created by the builders, as were all the gardeners. Their goal was to perfect species on planets and create life, which sounds great until you realize the level of power needed to do such a thing. Ex Nihilo could both create matter and manipulate time, which is pretty crazy. Number 7. Ulysses. Ulysses is an inhuman superhero who created a lot of commotion as a result of his powers and, well, just existing. Ulysses was actually the central cause of Civil War II. His powers allowed him to get visions of possible futures, with it believed the more clear his visions became, the more likely these futures were to happen. As a result, the heroes became divided into two camps when it came to how to best utilize Ulysses and his immense power. One camp was headed by Carol Danvers' Captain Marvel, who hoped to utilize Ulysses' powers and visions to prevent tragic and devastating events before they happened, thereby saving countless lives, but of course at the cost of punishing people before they'd even really done anything wrong. Whereas Tony Stark's Iron Man headed the second camp of heroes, who weren't as willing to put all their faith in Ulysses' visions, especially at the cost of compromising the freedom of those who had possibly not even done anything wrong yet. If you'd like to avoid Civil War II from happening, a good way to do so would be by us never getting Ulysses in the MCU, which could create a lot of craziness. Number 6. Powerhouse. Powerhouse is the codename for Franklin Richards, the son of Susan Storm Richards aka the Invisible Woman, and Reed Richards aka Mr. Fantastic, both of the superhero team the Fantastic Four. When Franklin was just an infant, he caused a whole bunch of trouble due to being so powerful. In fact, he caused so much trouble that at one point Reed had to intervene by shutting down young Franklin's mind. At this point, Franklin was so powerful and his powers so out of control that he could have easily and accidentally destroyed the Earth. And this is when Franklin was just basically a baby still. Franklin might not have his powers currently in the comics, but if we were to see Powerhouse at peak strength and power level, he would definitely be far too dangerous a character for the MCU. Number 5. Hyperion. Hyperion would be a challenging one I think to have in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, due to his similarity to one of the distinguished competition's main heroes, Superman. Hyperion is in essence like Marvel's response to a character like Superman, and he also recently appeared in the comics and was revealed to be problematic in his approach to heroics. That is to say, through getting to know this version of him and this version of his team, the Squadron Supreme of America, that recently appeared in the comics during the recent Heroes Reborn 2021 event, we learned that these heroes were a lot more shady than our standard Earth 616 heroes that we're used to seeing on teams like the Avengers. That being said, this was an alternate version of Milton, but still I think a lot of problems would exist with trying to incorporate this character into the MCU. Number 4. One Above All. The One Above All isn't ranking lower because I consider them to be less powerful than those ranked above them on this list. I just feel like they might not be as great of a threat to the MCU if they were to appear. But still, they probably never should, because they could kill the whole art of storytelling by becoming our Deus Ex Machina plot device. One Above All is basically the god of the Marvel Universe, and while it might be cool to see them appear as an allusion to the founders of Marvel Comics who made it what it is today, they definitely could easily derail plots or be used as a plot device to save the day, but at the expense of cheapening the stakes of a story. That being said, they did appear in Immortal Hulk, and I feel like that story actually utilized this character really well, so they could appear in a way that wouldn't cause harm to the universe or plots, but it would still be a hard line to walk, I think. Number 3. Sentry. The Sentry is a hero that might not only be too dangerous for the MCU, but also might be considered a little too dark as well when it comes to his origins. His danger levels though come from the fact that the Sentry not only has the power of like a ton of suns within him, but also the fact that within the Sentry lives the Void, the hero's alter ego who we initially thought was created by a split in his personality, but we would later learn in a retcon was an idea implanted in Sentry's mind thanks to the manipulations of villain mastermind. While Sentry might be the strongest hero this Earth has ever seen, the Void is definitely one of the most devastating villains as well, and they're usually a package deal. Not always, but usually. It's kind of what makes a Sentry interesting, so I think you gotta at least have the Void there to begin with. Number 2. Hope Summers. Hope has to be one of the most destructive superheroes that we could see in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. MCU mutants are coming. eventually. Kamala Khan is already implied to be one of them as per the origin story her creators always wanted for her in the comics, but got denied at the time of her creation due to the push of the Inhumans in comics, as you know, the rights to the X-Men and the mutants were all wonky due to Fox's involvement. But now the mutants are back with Marvel thanks to their partnership with Disney, who acquired Fox, and all is well. But not if we get mutants who then get erased from existence by House of M. Hope was originally known as the Mutant Messiah. She was the first mutant baby to have been born since House of M, and her powers put her on another level when it comes to heroics. She can take on the power of any other mutant in her vicinity, and get those powers at peak level and skill set. Add in the fact that Hope's birth also caused an all-out war between the mutants during Messiah Complex, and yeah, having Hope in the MCU would both be challenging and be probably pretty dangerous. Number 1. Squirrel Girl. Despite no longer being fully considered unbeatable thanks to a fight in the Fantastic Four where it's implied that Squirrel Girl was beaten off panel, Squirrel Girl still has beaten a lot of big names when it comes to villains in Marvel Comics, and has also helped to reform some major ones as well. In fact, this is kind of Dorian's whole secret to success when it comes to beating her foes. She usually does so by befriending them and encouraging them to do and be better, which usually, just defeats them by making them good people. She's inspirational, and hey, it's contagious. And while she has lost once, I think her track record of beating almost all villains she runs into makes her simply too dangerous for the MCU. I mean, almost no one would be able to stand against her. Doesn't matter who shows up, Thanos, Kang, she'd be like, look, why don't we just have a conversation, and then it would all be resolved. Like Black Panther in What If, when he was Star-Lord and he was like, I just had a conversation with Thanos and then we fixed it.
At number 10 is Toxin. Toxin is a symbiote born from the Carnage line and was the 1000th symbiote in Venom's lineage, which stands as one of the strongest Clintar in the Marvel universe. His raw power, derived from both Venom and Carnage, are outmatched even Null, the King in Black, who genuinely feared his strength. Now, what sets the Toxin symbiote apart is his childlike demeanor, keeping his incredible powers restrained and focused on actually doing good, which is super pleasant considering he's one of the strongest and his mom is literally Carnage. Resistant to both heat and sound, which would be the biggest weakness for all the rest of the Clintar who came before him, he also possesses enhanced tracking abilities and a venomous bite that's not for the faint of hearted. Originally bonded to a police officer, Patrick Mulligan, with the two attempting to be heroes until Patrick's eventual demise, Toxin has bonded to several different hosts over time, adapting to new hosts like Eddie Brock and Bren Waters during key moments in the comics. The symbiote's existence and untapped raw potential for power add a layer to the possibilities within the MCU, promising immense strength and complexity to any storyline he joins. Also, in my opinion, he just looks the coolest. I mean, to see him on the big screen would be a pleasure to say the least. At number 9 is Anti-Venom. Imagine having all the powers wielding the Venom symbiote and none of the drawbacks, like, oh, I don't know, having a voice in your head that's hungry for brains. Yeah, that's basically Anti-Venom in a nutshell. After Eddie Brock parted ways with the Venom symbiote, there was still remnants of Venom lingering within his body. Later, while battling cancer, Brock volunteered at the Feast Center where its founder, Martin Lee, also known as Mr. Negative, accidentally used his powers to cure Brock's cancer, but in doing so, some of his negative powers merged with the leftover symbiote in Eddie's bloodstream, fusing with his white blood cells. And once Venom and Brock were reunited once again, the Anti-Venom symbiote emerged, flipping the colors of the original Venom, creating a white, benign version controlled completely by Eddie. This Anti-Venom isn't a conscious entity like Venom once was, it's more like a biological suit under Eddie's complete command. Now, what sets it apart is that it has power against other symbiotes. A touch from Anti-Venom acts like acid to regular symbiotes, eventually destroying them. Beyond that, it's a cure-all. Radioactivity, parasites, diseases, Anti-Venom clears them out. Plus, it keeps the classic symbiote enhancements. It resists what normally weakens symbiotes like heat and sound. Recently, it threw Carnage plans into disarray, but only briefly. If you're enjoying the video so far, you could support the channel by pressing like, subscribing to Top 10 Nerd, and ringing that notification bell. And number 8 is Payback. This is probably the most unique symbiote on this list. Marvis Trent, the covert leader of the True Believers and a SHIELD analyst, wields a symbiote distinct from its brethren. You see, unlike typical symbiotes that thrive on adrenaline and aggression, Trent's symbiote feeds on pure bliss off of its host. Its strength peaks when she feels joy, offering her those emotions in return. Visually, it's a stark departure from the standard symbiote appearance, with an iridescent shimmer instead of the usual terrifying features. Now, what sets Trent apart isn't just her symbiote's feeding preferences or appearance, she also possesses the typical abilities granted by symbiotic bonds. Her unique connection with the symbiote hints at unexplored potentials within the Clintar, suggesting that these extraterrestrial entities might harbor more surprises, granting their hosts power beyond the norm. Payback symbiote hints at an entirely different aspect of the symbiote spectrum, adding layers of depth and possibilities for the interactions within the MCU. And number 7 is Scorn. What makes Scorn stand out is its original bonding with machinery. You see, it doesn't really differentiate between itself and technology, forming a unique connection with machines. This ability allows Thanos, the host, to communicate with and influence various forms of technology, kind of like a symbiote version of the TX model from Terminator 3. Hope you guys get that. But let's back it up a bit. Scorn, a spawn of Carnage, found refuge on Thanos Neve's prosthetic arm while she counseled Shriek. When the symbiote's hunger grew menacing, Thanos discarded her prosthetic and Shriek claimed it, but Shriek's chaos frightened the newborn symbiote, prompting it to return to Thanos. This time, she accepted the symbiote wholeheartedly, and bonded to her prosthetic, they gained immense power, stopping Shriek and joining the Mercury team to confront Carnage. At number 6 is Mania. Often known as the daughter of Venom, she emerged as the clone of the original Venom symbiote. This unique symbiote came into being unexpectedly when a portion of Venom attached to a student instead of its target, while Flash Thompson, acting as a teacher in Philadelphia, was combating an attack by Jack-o'-lantern. Contrary to expectations, the symbiote fully bonded with the student, birthing a new entity known as Mania. Originally, Mania stemmed from a violent and purposefully designed Venom clone by the Arat Corporation, aimed at annihilating life on Earth. This clone, dormant within Flash as he carried the Venom symbiote, found autonomy as Mania after being expelled. Adding to its complexity, the Mania symbiote possesses the Hell Mark previously embedded on Venom by Mephisto. While expelled from Venom, the Hell Mark transferred to Mania, granting her the ability to control demons alongside her typical symbiotic abilities. Zux, ZZZXX? I don't really know how to say this. Stands as a peculiar symbiote, quite the outlier among its Clintar kind. Unlike most symbiotes that cherish their hosts, this one actually devours their host's brains instead. Locked away in a Shi'ar prison until freed by the psychopathic Vulcan, it found a new home in a Shi'ar host, joining Vulcan's elite guard. Sent to eliminate Havoc and the Starjammers, Zux failed in its mission, attempting to bond with Raza Longknife during the battle but facing rejection. In the skirmish's aftermath, Zux was flung into the Fault, a grotesque universe hosting an antithesis of Professor X. Now, what unfolds in this space, whether a confrontation or alliance, remains shrouded in mystery, but if they survived, an unprecedented, terrifying force could emerge, harboring vengeful plans. At number 4 is Dreadface. Dreadface is a symbiote of the aggressive variety, which thrives on instigating homicidal tendencies in those it encounters. Its first interactions with the Fantastic Four occurred in the pages of Fantastic Four number 360 titled At the Mercy of Dreadface. Initially confined on the ship of Devos the Devastator, likely apprehended on his quest to eradicate warring life forms across the universe. Now, upon the ship's crash during a clash between the Fantastic Four and Devos, Dreadface fled and inhabited the first being it found, a gorilla. The possessed gorilla attacked Ben Grimm, transferring the symbiote upon touch. The Human Torch intervened, but the symbiote latched onto him instead. Now, you would think that he would just ignite and turn into fire, but he doesn't really do that. The skirmish concluded when the Thing persuaded the fiery symbiote to fly into jet fuel, causing an explosion that seemingly eradicated the alien while sparing Johnny Storm. And number 3 is Scream. Scream is the true de facto leader of the 5 Life Foundation symbiotes forcibly extracted from Venom. In case you don't know, the Life Foundation created these symbiotes in preparation for the mutually assured destruction of the fallout of the Cold War, and the symbiotes they nurtured were meant to be the peacekeepers of this new post-apocalyptic era. Yeah, good luck with that. I digress. Too young to control, the symbiote was merged with Donna Diego, codenamed Strike Agent 4, a mercenary suffering from schizophrenia. And considering that bonding with a symbiote already puts an unwanted voice in your head, this was just a recipe for disaster, as Scream and its symbiotic siblings urged their hosts towards violence. At one point, the 5 sought help from Eddie Brock to control the symbiote's lust for lethality, but Eddie declined, deeming them as no more than potential threats akin to Carnage. Carnage. Donna, losing control to both her schizophrenia and the symbiote's aggression, unleashed chaos in the Times Square. Scream's unique abilities included using hair-like tendrils for attacks and forming wings for flight, setting her apart from other symbiotes. But without guidance, Donna's struggles with her mental state amplified the symbiote's destructive nature, leading to catastrophic consequences. At number 2 is Scorpion's Venom. Mac Gargan, originally the Scorpion, merged with the Venom symbiote after being recruited by Norman Osborn. You see, the symbiote was offered to Gargan during a mission to kidnap Peter Parker's Aunt May. Tempted by its immense power, he defied Osborn, choosing symbiosis over his original mission, seeing as the Venom symbiote would serve as a more powerful suit than any newly designed Scorpion suit ever could be, and thus, Mac Gargan became the even more menacing Venom. This new form of Venom eventually joined the Thunderbolts and later Norman Osborn's Dark Avengers. Initially in control, Gargan began to struggle against the symbiote's influence, succumbing to its need for lethality and exhibiting a more savage and brutal nature. Despite moments of resistance, Gargan eventually embraced the symbiote's darkness, adopting a man-eating and sadistic persona. However, due to a substance used to control the symbiote, he experienced occasional episodes of unexpected timidity, hindering his combat effectiveness. And at number 1 is Warstar. Warstar is a Type 2 battle symbiote which emerged in a recent comic event, who was crafted by Kang the Conqueror in the 602nd century. Initially under strict programming to serve Kang, it shifted control to Eddie Brock, who was able to control the hostless symbiote remotely via his new King in Black powers. During their efforts, it helped Eddie overcome a more potent battle symbiote and confront Kang, but was eventually defeated. Later serving as Eddie's host during training with Kang, Warstar was later seized by the Murdius after Eddie traveled through time, falling into a trap set by Kang and Murdius. Warstar, unlike other battle symbiotes, displayed cybernetic enhancements allowing it to shapeshift, manifest weapons, and replicate technological devices, demonstrating a form of technopathy. This included the ability to mimic Kang's time sword. Despite its loyalty to Kang, Warstar supported Eddie's actions and engaged in combat against Kang when prompted under the guise of a training exercise, showing a willingness to act beyond its programming. And at number 10 is Magneto. When we talk about the X-Men making their grand entrance in the MCU, one name stands out like a magnet: Magneto. He's only at number 10 because he's mostly an X-Men villain, but at this point he's probably helped the X-Men just about as many times as he's terrorized them. From the inception of the X-Men comic series, Magneto has been a magnetic force of nature. His complex character, driven by the traumatic experiences of his past, make him a captivating antagonist. But here's the dilemma. See, Marvel Studios has a history of altering character backstories to fit their cinematic universe. And with Magneto, the stakes are higher than ever. His Jewish heritage is a vital part of his identity, grounding his motivations and actions in a deep historical context. Fans are rightfully concerned about how this crucial aspect of his character might be handled in the MCU. The challenge lies in balancing a respectful portrayal of Magneto's roots with the need to adapt him for the big screen. As we eagerly await the X-Men's arrival in the MCU, the question remains, can Marvel pull off a Magneto adaptation that stays true to the character's essence and history? We may just have to wait and find out. At number 9 is Nightcrawler. Nightcrawler, often overlooked in the vast X-Men roster, poses a unique charm that could greatly enrich the MCU. While he might not be a great headline-grabbing hero, his inclusion offers untapped potential. Take for instance his memorable encounter with Spider-Man in The Amazing Spider-Man number 161. Their spirited clash eventually blossomed into an enduring friendship, showcasing Nightcrawler's compatibility with the Wallcrawler. In terms of abilities, Nightcrawler's teleportation and acrobatics closely align with Spidey's, creating an ideal dynamic for witty banter and breathtaking action sequences. The MCU's penchant for character-driven storytelling could thrive with Nightcrawler's introduction, blending humor and heroics seamlessly. A brimstone teleportation leap into the MCU would not only rekindle this iconic moment, but also herald the arrival of mutants fans have longed. If you're enjoying this video so far, you can support the channel by pressing like, subscribing to Top 10 Nerd, and ringing the notification bell. I would really appreciate it. At number 8 is Charles Xavier. Yeah, I know Professor X is technically already in the MCU. In case you didn't see him as part of the Illuminati in Doctor Strange 2, he did make a brief cameo, though with an emphasis on brief, because I'm gonna be honest, his presence was merely there to show how powerful Wanda was, as she takes him out pretty much immediately. Now, somebody claimed that Professor X, aka Charles Xavier, is set to return in the MCU with Avengers Secret Wars in 2027, but we can only hope that his role will be a more prominent one. And on that note, since we're already talking about Wanda, her kids Billy and Tommy Maximoff, aka Wiccan and Speed, need some more prominent roles too. Pull them out of the multiverse already. Come on, make Wanda happy, for crying out loud. At number 7 is Rogue. Rogue is a character with a complex past who holds immense potential for the MCU. Her evolution from a villain to a hero is a captivating narrative arc waiting to be explored. With her power-absorbing abilities, she stands out among the X-Men. It's important to remember that her clash with Captain America, driven by her actions against Carol Danvers, would be a great inclusion in the MCU. While diving into her true origin would require time and care, fans are eagerly anticipating her presence, regardless of the side she ends up choosing. The rich layers of her character and the moral dilemmas associated with her powers would undoubtedly add so much depth to the MCU, making her a compelling addition to the ever-expanding Marvel Universe. At number 6 is Cyclops. Scott Summers, chosen by Professor Xavier, embodies the essence of leadership within the X-Men. Cyclops wields formidable abilities, firing concussive force beams from his eyes and shielding his mind from telepathic intrusion. His skills extend beyond his optic blasts, encompassing masterful piloting and martial arts prowess. And on top of that, he's the leader of the X-Men, for crying out loud. Yet, Cyclops' most intriguing facet lies with his connection with the Phoenix Force, which essentially amplifies his powers. In the crucible of Avengers vs. X-Men, he assumed the mantle of protector for Hope Summers, defying Steve Rogers' ultimatum. With the MCU undergoing transformations post-Rogers and Stark, a void now exists, and while Sam Wilson dons Captain America's mantle, the looming threat of Kang the Conqueror may necessitate another guiding figure for Earth's mightiest heroes. Cyclops, with his experience, unwavering resolve, and potent abilities, could become the beacon they require in these turbulent times. At number 5 is Iceman. Iceman's history is deeply intertwined with Spider-Man in Spider-Man and His Amazing Friends, a dynamic which is ripe for exploration. MCU's Peter Parker, devoid of close friendships, could benefit from this connection. Imagine a narrative where Peter encounters a troubled youth, Bobby, grappling with the burden of hiding his mutant power. This resonates with Peter's own struggles as a young hero with arachnid abilities. As one of the foremost LGBTQ characters in comics, brings much needed diversity and representation to the MCU. His inclusion not only expands the superhero roster, but also contributes to the broader narrative of acceptance and inclusion, fostering a richer and more inclusive cinematic universe. At number 4 is Storm. Her introduction through her connection with Wakanda is not only feasible, but super captivating. The history shared by T'Challa and Ororo Munroe holds the promise of a narrative rich in emotion and complexity. Their separation in the comics, wrought with the tumultuous events of the Civil War and Avengers vs. X-Men, serves as a really poignant backdrop. With MCU's penchant for weaving intricate storylines, Storm's journey to discover her bloodline, akin to the Black Panther comic arc, would be a stroke of genius. The MCU's unique timeline divergence from Earth 616 offers a canvas for this narrative tapestry to unfold. At number 3 is The Beast. The inclusion of the Beast in the MCU's X-Men lineup has stirred excitement among fans, signaling Marvel Studios' ambitious plans for the mutants. As we've seen, Marvel is strategically planting seeds for the mutants' arrival with the overarching multiverse saga. Now it has been revealed, albeit second-handedly, that the Beast will debut in the new Deadpool already in his mutant form, which is a bold move reminiscent of Spider-Man's introduction in the MCU back in Civil War, skipping the origin story we're all too familiar with. This approach allows Marvel to delve right into the heart of the character, exploring his unique abilities, intellect, and his dynamic with the X-Men team. It would probably be a smart move, as we've witnessed audiences quickly connect with characters who embrace their powers from the outset, as exemplified by She-Hulk's character arc. While we eagerly await more news on the MCU's X-Men, the introduction of Beast promises to be a pivotal moment in this highly anticipated cinematic journey. Marvel continues to keep us on our toes, and the mutant evolution is just beginning. At number 2 is Hope Summers. Hope Summers, a pivotal figure in the X-Men lore, represents a tantalizing opportunity for the MCU. Though post-Wanda's Hex, she's a game-changing character. An Omega-level mutant, Hope wields a unique power, the ability to absorb and wield other mutants' abilities. What makes her truly intriguing, though, is her connection to the Phoenix Force. Avengers vs. X-Men, a monumental comic storyline, revolves around her. The cinematic potential here is immense. Imagine the conflict with ethical dilemmas and the sheer spectacle of heroes clashing over the Phoenix Force. With mutants officially entering the MCU, Hope's inclusion opens doors to exploring this compelling saga. The clash between Avengers and the X-Men, driven by Hope's presence and the Phoenix Force, could redefine superhero storytelling on the big screen. Exciting times lie ahead in the mutant-filled MCU. And at number 1 is Wolverine. Ryan Reynolds just dropped a bombshell, folks. Hugh Jackman's Wolverine will be returning to the MCU. It sounds too good to be true, you guys, because it could actually just be another one of Ryan Reynolds' Deadpool-style pranks, or maybe some deja vu from that whole X-Force debacle. But regardless of skepticism, the desire to witness mutants mingling with the Earth's mightiest heroes is palpable. Wolverine, the adamantium-clad, cigar-chomping berserker, might not be the X-Men's original poster boy, but he skyrocketed to fame faster than you can say snit snit. His debut in 74's Incredible Hulk number 181 was a game changer, a moment when history pivoted and fans clamored for more. The MCU has the power to fulfill our wildest dreams, and Wolverine's return could mark a thrilling new chapter in the mutant saga. So will we see the bub get back? Only time will tell. The X-Men have been a beloved part of the Marvel Universe for decades, and their arrival into the MCU promises to be a game changer. While I've explored some of my top picks today, the possibilities here are endless, and the excitement is palpable. Whether it's Wolverine, Storm, or Gambit, who I neglected to mention, unfortunately, there's only 10 of these spots, you guys. The MCU has the potential to bring in these iconic characters to life like never before. As we eagerly await the unveiling of Marvel's plans, we'll keep our mutant-loving hearts open for the day X-Men finally join the ranks of Earth's mightiest heroes.